Hello, welcome to the TU Sports Extra podcast. I'm Patrick Prince, joined by TU beat writer Kelly Hines, back on the beat after 8 seasons. She's got a couple of new coaches that you're trying to get to
You're
know.
saying 8 seasons like I haven't been around for 8 seasons, but I was on the beat for 8 seasons.
Did I phrase that incorrectly, you feel like?
I don't know. 8 years sounds like a long time either way, probably because it is.
It is a long time, yeah. All right.
It was more like I was on the beat for 8 years and then not like very briefly, and I'm back. So some people may not have even noticed I wasn't there.
Okay, fair point. So I could have just avoided that altogether and just act like you've been there the whole time. All right, we'll work on our introductions for
We'll work on it. Everything is a work in progress.
Everything is a work in progress. That's right. Week to week improvement, everyday improvement. That's all we're looking for. All right, let's talk about Kevin Wilson. So he seems to really be making some portal wins, if you will. What do you think about some of the players that he's not only retaining, but also grabbing out of the portal?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that he's looking into the portal to address very specific needs. And I think that that's extremely important when you're, trying to figure out your roster and that you have some areas of weakness and you're like, okay, we've got some coaches in place. Let's find some guys to fit these spots. But then to find guys like DeMarco Jones, who played at Booker T and I think was in, he was in a reserve role at OSU, and it was maybe going to be difficult for him to make that next move. And so he was in the portal, and that I think is a great fit. That's a cornerback who's played a ton in his career, made one of the most impressive plays that I saw this season on the onside kick against Texas Tech. He, fair caught it, and that was a huge moment in the game. And then Kenyon Williams, another guy from OSU, another defensive back, a safety who I got to know a little bit. And he was a former team captain, which that's a big deal at OSU. That's something that your teammates vote on. And he had that respect of his teammates. Didn't get as much playing time later in his career at OSU just because of, other guys who were on the roster, but definitely someone who brings a lot to the table with your team. And then Kewan Parker is another Booker T kid who spent the last 2 years at Arkansas. So those are 3 defensive backs who they now join a secondary that's looking pretty good when you look at the fact that Kevin Wilson was able to get Kendaren Ray to come out of the portal. Kenny Solomon, a corner, who was in a starting role. Also, he withdrew from the portal. So now you're like, okay, this is starting to look like a team. So I think, I don't know if it was just that they're doing that group first and they're going to address, other spots next, but with the defensive hires being made first, I think that really helped them get a jump start on that side of the ball. But I think you're just seeing very encouraging things happening right now. And I know that they're obviously not done compiling their roster. And there's still obviously some time to get some more guys out of the portal.
How big was Kendaren Ray coming back? That's huge, right?
Oh man, that's as impressive to me as getting Braylon Braxton to stay, or getting any of these guys out of the portal. I think that that's pretty big because it's a guy who just like Braylon, has that potential to be a leader on the offensive side. Kendaren was a leader for the last few years on the defensive side, and I remember when he was, I think maybe a freshman or sophomore, I remember Philip Montgomery saying, I think he has a chance to be the best safety who's ever played here. And he's had injuries and, just things are unpredictable, but he's always had extremely high potential, and he's really lived up to that well. And so for him to stay, that's a huge piece of your defense because, I don't know exactly what Tulsa's defense is going to look like. I don't know if they're going to stick with 3-3-5 or, what they're going to do, but Tulsa's, the secondary, like with any defense, that's going to be important. But the way that Tulsa has recruited previously under Philip Montgomery and his staff, you're getting guys with speed and athleticism to have on the back end. So you're protected there in a way that, really before they went to that alignment, they were not as good at preventing big plays. So if you can get a secondary that's, really solid at each spot in your first year, you've got a chance. I mean, I feel like that's just a big boost to where the team, what its ceiling, could be. That's an area that you've got to feel pretty good about at this point.
Sure. You recently sat down with Kevin Wilson via Zoom anyway, kind of your first long interview with him, 25 minutes, whatever that was. Or was it longer than that? How long was it?
No, it was about 25 minutes. I think that's
all right. I was right the first time. So your impressions of Kevin Wilson after getting to talk to him a little bit?
One of the first things I told you about that is, he has 2 cats. And I mean, I feel like that's something that's important to discuss. We discussed that, and he also has 2 dogs, but the cats, that resonates with me. So I was like, all right, I think we're gonna get along. Okay. I have more than 2 cats. You didn't ask, but so I think just maybe and he has media availability tomorrow. And that's really the first, thing that he's done, with all of us since his introduction. So as weird as it is to be back on the beat and covering, different coaches for the 2 sports that, we cover the most, I kind of enjoy the process of getting to know someone and like earning their trust and, just that's a journey and it's unpredictable but I like that. So we're still very early on with both of these coaches that I cover. Here's a cat. But I'm excited to kind of like get to know them because I wouldn't say that I know either of them especially well, but with each conversation, you get to know someone better. And I think that Kevin is he's his experience, dealing with the media, being a head coach, all of those things, like that's kind of different from, what sometimes we expect with TU. I remember like, Philip Montgomery, early on, when I was covering him, like he didn't have to do a lot of interviews, at his previous school. So like you're dealing with someone who's like, oh, I don't know if I can trust the media, but he was really good at it. It just, it took some time for him to understand that, we pretty much here in Tulsa, we're going to be pretty nice to you and we're going to make your job not extremely difficult. So most of the time. So I think Kevin he has a lot of experience. He's dealt with Oklahoma media before. And he just, I think, is very like accustomed to different situations. And I think that makes it more comfortable for us and for him.
Yeah. You also had a chance to connect with Philip Montgomery, who is the new Auburn offensive coordinator. You guys talked cat sighting. There we go.
It's a play.
What all were you guys chatting about?
Oh, Phil Montgomery. I did a story for Monday's paper about Joe Gillespie, who I'm not going to say things didn't go well for him last night, but I mean, it was a little painful to watch. It wasn't his fault. I'm not putting that on. George is just like on another level. Anyway, just about I had a friend who was out in LA covering the national championship game. And he asked Joe some questions for me for that story, which is very nice and very helpful. And it was just about how Joe's time at Tulsa really prepared him for, really immediate success at TCU. And I know the season ended the way it did, but I mean, they're national runner-up and in the first year, like under Sonny Dykes, that's pretty impressive. So it was pretty much about how Philip Montgomery's longtime friendship with Joe led to Joe getting the job at TU that led to the job at TCU. I'm not explaining it very well. But I wanted to talk to Philip for that story because, he was such a big part of it. And I talked to him, for a while. He was coming off a big recruiting weekend. We chatted for a few minutes. It was a good talk. He had obviously only good things to say about Joe. And I asked him, I was like, I assume like you guys remain good friends, but is it weird when someone's on your staff and they leave, and then like, how do you like process the emotions of that? I think at times, it's difficult for coaches when guys maybe make like lateral moves or stuff like that, but he was like, oh, I'm always going to root for Joe, like their kids grew up together. I mean, they've known each other for so long that's a little bit different from just like maybe an assistant who is unhappy and goes somewhere else. Like Joe was making, he could have gone, I'm sure he had plenty of other opportunities, but he waited a long time until the right situation came along. And obviously that was a good situation for him, but it was nice to catch up with Philip, briefly. You just, when you cover someone for that long, like you just, I got to know his family and obviously him, but you always want the best for those people. It's just like, you're like, they're part of your life on a daily basis for so long, and then it's not anymore, and you're like, bye, like you just like, and that's just how things go in our industry, and their industry is like, it's unpredictable, but he really is a good person, so I think that the situation he's in is going to be a really good one for him, or it might not be, who knows.
Did you guys talk much to you?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
I think he's ready here's Chico. Chico is looking for a home.
Well, show us if we can see the front end instead of the back end. That might help. Hi, Chico. Wow.
He's purring. He's a very
Awesome.
large. So yeah, we talked mostly about Joe and about his current situation, Philip's current situation. I think he's in a good spot with what happened and moving on past it. So,
well, staying on the coaches theme and getting to know new coaches theme, let's talk about Eric Konkol a little bit. You guys had a chance to sit down. Of course, we're filming this on Tuesday afternoon. You've got your first game tonight. So your impressions of Coach Konkol so far?
He is going to be really great to deal with. And everyone had told me that leading up to this, haven't really been on the basketball beat very long, but I knew that we're just having a little skirmish in the next room.
A literal cat fight?
Just one second. So Eric has been a head coach before also, so he knows the drill with the media, and he was like, anything I can do to help you, and I'm like, it's really nice of you to say, thank you. But we talked about his background, my background, the team, and he's very honest with his assessment of where they are. He knows what they need to work on. He knows their defense is pretty terrible, but he knew that it was going to take some time. And I think what I like about him is he's kind of like me in that there are no short answers to questions. But you ask him like, what did I ask him? Like, how much do you have to like trust the process? At this point, like your team is 4-10, you've lost several games in a row. It's your first year. You're just trying to, lay the groundwork for, year 2, year 3, whatever that is. And he starts telling me about how his dad worked in construction for like a long time. And it's like the answer is like a journey. And I'm like, I could relate to that so much, because it's like, anytime you ask me anything, I'm like, well, the thing is, but he has, a very patient personality, and that really lends itself well to his current situation. But there were just several things that, that I picked up just about, how like he has this little thing, and I'm going to write about this at some point, but I'm just, whatever, I'm just running it now. But he has this thing on his desk that I guess you could put business cards in, but it's kind of like a little plaque, and it says "Poised down the stretch." And that was one of the first things I noticed. And I was like, is that something you say a lot, or like, what does that mean? He's like, well, that was a gift from a graduate assistant. And basically he says that's one of his, anytime they do like their final thing in the locker room, go over the points of the game or whatever. Poison on the stretch is always one of them. It's always the last one, poison on the stretch. And so he has this thing on his desk that says that was a gift from someone who heard him say it a lot. But I just like, figuring out people's quirks, and I was impressed with him though. Like he's really sharp. He's really forthcoming. He has qualities that will make him very easy to cover. And I'm not saying I'm like want things to be easy all the time, but he's gonna be very cooperative, I feel like. And I've seen him I dealt with him after, because TU, well, I wouldn't say that they especially played at that OSU. There was a game involving TU and OSU that I covered, and TU didn't especially show up for it, but I was writing both sides for that game story, and I was the only person they were asking questions related to TU, and he was really good then, even though they played not very well. But I've seen him in other interview settings, and he refers to everyone asking questions by their first name, assuming he knows it, and just things that are personable. And I think that he gets it. He gets that when you're at a school like TU, like you need to treat the media pretty well, or maybe they'll stop covering you, especially if your team is not winning. So I think he's going to be really he seems like a good fit. I know this season is not going especially well, but I don't think anyone really expected it to.
Right.
So I definitely look forward to seeing like what years 2, 3, 4 look like for him, because I had someone say on Twitter, like, oh, he's just gonna have success and then leave. And I really don't. I mean, obviously I've talked to him one time. How well do I really know him? But just the decision to come to Tulsa was one that, he said he'd had other opportunities, but he had stayed with Louisiana Tech for I think 7 years. Still trying to remember all these things. And he didn't want to make a lot of moves like he had done early in his career when it was just him and his wife, because they have 2 sons, and he's like, I don't want to just bounce them around. So I think he's going to be very strategic with his moves, but I'd love to see him, be here for several years and see where it could go.
Yeah. What time is the game tonight? It's 5:00 now.
I believe it's at 7.
Okay. Are you heading
I
there?
had all of OSU's schedule memorized, and I don't cover those games anymore. So it's really hard to remember these things. I'm pretty sure it's at 7. I might be ready. Don't I look ready?
Totally, you do. I just didn't know if you were like need to hop off to get to the arena. I just didn't want to keep you.
No, I probably will try to be there by 5:30, and it takes I think 6 minutes to get there, so I'll probably be okay.
You pretty much cross the river and you're there. So
I mean, it's and the parking situation is pretty great there. I mean, like I can't complain. And they do. Oh my gosh, maybe they don't this year, but like last year when I was on the beat for half the season, they gave you a voucher for the concession stand. So I just Dean, who covers OSU, gets nothing. He gets something to drink, but I'm just saying.
Well, you'll have to report back to us on that.
Yeah, I was gonna rank all of the concession stand items, but the voucher I think is limited with what you can get. But as I told you the other day, I'm not consuming some of those items anymore. Like my hot dog eating days are over. It turns out they're pretty bad for you anyway. So
yeah, not the best.
Like, did you see that story a couple of years ago? It was like for every hot dog you eat, you like take like 10 minutes off your life or something.
No, I didn't see that.
Like Joey Chestnut is in trouble. Like someone should check on him. But like for the average person, like that seems kind of alarming.
Yeah, that'll add up quick.
It'll add up quick. So not doing that.
Another cat sighting. Who's this one?
This is the same one.
No.
He just wants to play.
Well, this one came on before we went live, though, didn't it?
Oh, I thought it was at the beginning. I don't know.
Maybe it was. I think we just saw the ears earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe All right. All right. Shall we leave it there for this week?
This has just been all over the place as usual.
That's okay. It's just, we're just stream of conscious, whatever's on your mind.
Oh
We went-
gosh,
we
it's
went
not dangerous at all. We'll
basketball.
just wing it. It's gonna be great.
Well, we talked about hot dogs. We'll just, who knows where we'll go next week.
Nobody knows. It's unpredictable.
It is unpredictable. Stay tuned to see what road we get off on. All right, enjoy the game tonight. We'll catch up next week. You can check us out for free on Google, Apple, Spotify. Appreciate you checking us out, and we'll see you next time.